Hansel Abbott, a noble baron of the Aldor kingdom, at least in the eyes of commoners, was now in a sorry state, running through muddy rural roads with a group of ragged refugees. "Damn rebels," he muttered once more. Just a week ago, Duke Gilles, known as the Greedy Wolf, had launched a rebellion. With the king incapacitated by illness for many days, the only one who could suppress the rebellion, Her Highness the Princess, led her knights to the eastern highlands to fend off barbarian raids on the kingdom's borders. Although the duke's ambitions were well known, the royal court had primarily sought to appease him, never expecting the rebellion to erupt so suddenly. To make matters worse, it turned out that Sir Hawes, the commander of the royal city guards, known for their loyalty to the crown, was secretly a pawn of the duke, striking a devastating blow while the elite royal troops were away. The Abbott family had always been seen as staunch supporters of the crown. Hearing this news outside the city, Hansel was so frightened that he dared not return home, fleeing towards the highlands overnight with his personal servant. The entire Crystal Glare region seemed to collapse overnight. Bandits emerged from everywhere, and the city guards began looting and burning, behaving like marauders. Moreover, Duke Gilles' notorious reputation caused a large number of commoners and loyal minor nobles to flee to other places. Hansel intermittently gleaned some rumors from the refugees. It seemed that after the rebels stormed the palace, they hadn't found the king. At the very last moment, before the uprising, the Royal Academy's martial students were hastily mobilized, along with the small number of royal guards protecting the still unconscious king and other key figures, fleeing from the North Gate. Hansel had seen carriages bearing the royal insignia on the road, but unlike the refugees rushing to seek shelter, he did not follow. At that time, displaying the royal banner still felt somewhat suspicious to him. Now, leading his servant Toman along another path crowded with refugees, their carriage got stuck in a mud puddle just moments ago. Despite Toman's efforts to free the horse's rear from the muck and pull the carriage out, they were robbed again by a passing gang of bandits, who took the horse and what little money remained. All Hansel could do now was curse the rebels responsible for all of this repeatedly. Just as the master and servant planned to take a rest by the roadside, a noble-style carriage caught up from behind, its coat of arms obscured. As it passed them, however, a face appeared at the carriage window that Hansel found oddly familiar and somewhat unsettling despite his disgust. "Well, isn't this Abbott?" The fleeting smirk on the person's face erased any previous sense of familiarity. Despite this, the fully armed knights behind the carriage reassured him somewhat. He decided he must hitch a ride on this carriage, no matter what. He had to steel himself an appeal. "Matthew, my old friend, I've been robbed by a bunch of shameless bandits. Could you, in the spirit of our long-standing friendship, offer me some assistance?" Matthew chuckled knowingly. "Why, of course. Can I allow my good friend Baron Hansel Abbott to remain covered in mud among a bunch of refugees like this? Such a scandal for our nobility if word were to get out." He spoke loudly in an exaggerated tone, opening the carriage door and drawing the attention of passing refugees who stopped to watch. "Thank you. I knew you wouldn't abandon an old friend." Hansel boarded the carriage, vowing inwardly to thoroughly mock Matthew for his misfortune when the opportunity arose. Matthew Stoneman, Hansel's classmate, and his archenemy throughout their entire student days, always found themselves in fierce debates during every debate competition, arguing vehemently with faces red and tempers flaring. Privately, they had countless instances of backbiting each other, labeling one another as cunning villains. Now, however, Hansel found himself having to rely on the help of his sworn enemy to flee. How unpredictable life can be. Hansel sighed, then felt relieved that his mother and sister, who were away visiting relatives, weren't in the capital. "Hansel, wipe that mournful face off. What are your plans?" Matthew asked. Hansel straightened his collar and regained some composure. "At such a time of turmoil in the kingdom, it is only natural for me to offer my humble services under the command of Her Highness the Princess. Though my personal abilities may be limited, it is our Abbott family's unwavering duty to assist the crown in times of trouble." "Humph, always so lofty in your words," Matthew sneered. "Well, I have similar intentions. The Stoneman family has always been steadfast in our loyalty to the crown. I wonder if Her Highness the Princess will shelter us once we reach the military camp. Matthew, where were you coming from before fleeing? I was auditing the estate outside the city when I received notice from my father to hurry to the highlands and seek refuge with Her Highness. I saw caravans bearing the royal insignia on the road. Why didn't you follow them? You didn't follow either, did you? Amidst such chaos, flaunting the royal banner like that. Am I a fool? You still underestimate people just like before. As they bickered back and forth, the carriage suddenly came to a stop. Both men tensed. Could it be rebels or bandits? Outside, someone with a foreign accent shouted loudly, "Are you from the Stoneman family? Could you please step out?" Matthew and Hansel had no choice but to exit the carriage. Standing by the roadside next to the carriage was an elderly man who bowed slightly in a noble gesture. Introducing himself, the old man said, "I am Baron Wackley Ford, the Steward General of Earl Grayman of the Northwest Coast, here to greet you on behalf of my lord." "Hello, I am Baron Matthew Stoneman of the Stoneman family, and this is Baron Hansel Abbott of the Abbott family. How may we assist you?" Matthew replied, "I came to the capital for estate affairs to pay respects to His Majesty the King. However, on my way, I saw many commoners fleeing north with their families, all saying there's been a rebellion in the capital. I seek specific details from both of you. As esteemed guests from afar, you must be unaware. It's that fellow Gillies who's done this, betraying His Majesty the King." "Oh, you mean Duke Gillies, known as the Greedy Wolf?" "Yes, now the capital is occupied by his cohorts. I advise you not to go." "I haven't been to the capital in nearly a decade, only to encounter such a major event upon my return. This Gillies is truly despicable. Indeed, we fear falling into the hands of the rebels, so we plan to seek refuge with Her Highness the Princess. She's currently leading troops in the highlands to repel barbarians. With her capabilities, she should soon restore order. I wonder about His Majesty the King. His Majesty was likely rescued. If you wish, Lord Ford, you could accompany us to find Her Highness the Princess. His Majesty fell ill not long ago and entrusted all affairs to the Princess for handling." "Is that so? Very well, then I shall trouble the two of you on the journey." Hi there, if you are enjoying the story so far, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Cinder Translations to stay updated with latest chapters. If you want to read this story fully, you can go to my Patreon at patreon.com/CinderTL. The link is available in the description and pinned comment. I'll see you next time. Take care.